Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus and his disciples came to the other side of the sea, to the territory of the Gerasenes. When he got out of the boat, at once a man from the tombs who had an unclean spirit met him. The man had been dwelling among the tombs, and no one could restrain him any longer, even with chains. In fact, he had frequently been bound with shackles and chains, but the chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles smashed, and no one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day, among the tombs and on the hillsides, he was always crying out and bruising himself with stones. Catching sight of Jesus from a distance, he ran up and prostrated himself before him, crying out in a loud voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." He had been saying to him, "Unclean spirit, come out of the man." He asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "Legion is my name. There are many of us." And he pleaded earnestly with him not to drive him away from that territory. Now a large herd of swine was feeding there on the hillside. And they pleaded with him, "Send us into the swine. Let us enter them." And he let them. And the unclean spirits came out and entered the swine. The herd of about 2,000 rushed down a steep bank into the sea, where they were drowned. The swineherders ran away and reported the incident in the town and throughout the countryside. And people came out to see what had happened. As they approached Jesus, they caught sight of the man who had been possessed by legions sitting there, clothed and in his right mind. They were seized with fear. Those who witnessed the incident explained to them what had happened to the possessed man and to the swine. Then they began to beg him to leave their district. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed pleaded to remain with him, but Jesus would not permit him, but told him instead, "Go to your family and announce to them all that the Lord in his pity has done for you." The man went off and began to proclaim in the Decapolis what Jesus had done for him, and all were amazed. The Gospel of the Lord. As extreme as this scripture reading is, a vivid description of an exorcism, as extreme as it is, the remedy is not simply for Jesus to tell the evil spirit to leave, but the remedy is for him to go back to his family. To go back to someone who will nurture him and continue to foster his spiritual life. Not only is that the cure, but it is also the preventative medicine for any type of return. And it is also the preventative medicine for any of us who might be concerned about evil. The protection from evil comes in being under Jesus, being close to Jesus in his family. One of the things that compromises this, though, in general, is family life. And so the devil works overtime to disrupt families, and we see that even in our world today. And so family becomes vital for us. It's part of what we are as Christians, and it is imperative that we defend family at all costs, not only beginning in the life of the womb, but in family life in general, nurturing family, creating possibilities for family. One of the things that I find concerning, it might not seem like a big deal, but I find that the deity of sports, especially among youth, is a real infringement on family. Sundays are on the field of competition instead of at the church and in the family and in the home. It's frightening. The imperative to seem to work on Sunday becomes another problem. It takes people away from the household, from their children. It takes time away from the Sabbath, which should be another gathering point for the family. No, we need to be vigilant in working toward family unity. And I know families are fragmented today, and families seem to take many definitions. Whatever the definition of your family is, it should be nurtured and cultivated as a harbor of spiritual life and a harbor of loving care. That is one of the greatest preventions for evil, in not only in our lives, but in society. And not only just family life isn't going to have a meal on Sunday or whatever, but family life that worships together, and especially at the Mass on Sunday.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare,